Can you hear me now?
Okay, we are live on YouTube. We have just a delay and we are trying to figure out what the heck is going on with our video and audio so that you can hear what Kelly and I have to say. So let's see. So we're gonna hope that her audio will connect here pretty quick because I cannot hear her.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Hear her. So let's just go ahead and jump in while she's figuring that out. And I'm sure she'll type in the chat. Even if this is how we have to do it, we'll figure that out. But this is our very first Flick the Vermin live on YouTube. And this is something that we're going to be doing on a regular basis. Every Tuesday is the Flick the Vermin, okay? But every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we are going to be going live for just a few minutes to do some laser coaching to help you overcome the emotional stuff that might be driving you to the fridge for comfort. And okay, Kelly's raising her hand. Is it working?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I don't know what that means. This is totally new to me.
It's not working.
Okay, you're raising your hand and I'm going to lower your hand. This is kind of fun, but we're like trying to figure out the tech. And for whatever reason, Kelly's audio isn't connecting right now. And I don't know if her video is either. So we'll work it out as we go. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to go over with you today is I've been having a lot of, it says, I have your video off. Oh, hang on just a second. I'm going to figure out getting her video on. Let's see what happens if I make you the host. Can you turn your video on now? Okay, so anyway, we've been, oh, good.
Video.
Yay! Okay, your audio is still not working.
So weird.
It is so weird. Let me just disconnect my microphone. It's going to be. See if I can hear you. Okay, so anyway, we've been. Oh, good. Video. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, so.
So weird.
It's so weird. Let me disconnect my microphone. It's going to be. See if I can hear you. Okay, so. I am hearing it broadcasting on YouTube at the same time. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, so that is not what I want. Can you hear it? Double?
Yeah.
Oh. See if I can hear you. I am hearing it broadcasting on YouTube at the same time. Oh, I can't hear you. No. Okay, so that is not what I want. Can you hear it? Double? Oh. See if I can hear you. I am hearing it broadcasting on YouTube. Okay. Now I can't hear you anymore, and it says you're muted. And we're still live on YouTube, so score. Okay. I just can't have it up. Holy cow, this is interesting. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the, I have been going over 46 things. Kelly, it's still saying you're muted.
Okay, how's that?
Better. Okay. Phew. Oh, sorry, everybody. If you're watching live on YouTube. So, okay. That was really, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Somebody else take care of my tech while I talk.
That was crazy.
Yeah, but that's
Should
okay.
I rotate my camera?
Whatever works for you. Oh, yeah, do that.
That's better? Okay.
Yep. Okay, so I guess I don't need all of this. My audio is just not going to be as great. But can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so what I wanted to cover today is some of those 46 things that are hiding in the belly fat. I don't want to actually go over that today, but I do want to make sure everybody knows we're going to cover those over the next little bit. That's what we're going to do. Today, I want to talk about some very deep emotional things that don't seem connected to weight and don't seem connected to success and don't seem connected to anything. And just some of these really deep things that we come up against, that will battle against because we think it's so important. It makes us strong. It makes us good. And it gets in the way. So I'm going to tell you about my vision. I know Kelly has a similar vision. We want to change this world. And we can't do that if we're playing small. So, the new Tenacious CEO program that we're launching actually is for people who want to go big, who are letting themselves play small because of these giant emotional things that don't seem connected to anything. In fact, we think we're so right. Right?
Right.
But Kelly, okay, so I'm going to be really vulnerable, and I'm going to tell you what I have discovered in myself that has been so in the way of me just being willing to say what's on my mind and get out there and be impactful. Right. And so one of those things was this story about men. It goes all the way back to when I was little. I have traced it all the way back. And it just got worse and worse and worse as my life went on. And I thought it was just normal. I thought it was just a normal thing. I thought I was being so strong and right and blah, 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 blah. But I had been hurt by them. And so they were bad.
Right.
I had my experience with them was that they only want one thing. Mm-hmm. How many parents have told their kids that, to their daughters that, to warn them about the boys so that, and I internalized that. I had one time a very important adult in my life when I was telling her about an issue that I was having when I was 12. The answer was, boys are jerks. All men are jerks. That's what I was taught.
Yeah, that's rough.
Really intense moment. And then, we watch all the movies and stuff, and I had been exposed. This is actually probably the most important thing that we can talk about today. I had been exposed to so many things in my eyes, going into my eyes, into my mind. Pictures.
Right.
On television, in books, whatever, of men raping and molesting, and just the after school specials that show you people being approached or kidnapped or whatever, all of these things that were stored in my mind that were traumatic to me as I was watching them. And I was the really super sensitive kid.
Yeah.
I still am. I choose
Me
to.
too.
Yeah. So, but back then I would just watch. And I had adults in my life telling me, you have to be, used to things like this so that, and these were after school specials, awareness, so that we could be prepared for the real world, so we can handle the real world. And it really just was, I think, a form of, it was fear mongering.
Oh, totally.
It was something that messed with my head.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experienced this before, Kelly?
Yes. I saw a movie with my dad came to visit after the divorce, and he took us all to go see Excalibur. And I do not recommend ever showing that to a teenage girl, ever, because there is a horrible scene in there. And I still... Wow.
I know, right? This is the point. Okay, hold on for just a second. This is the whole point, everybody. She saw it in a movie, and look how it's still hurting her. We don't have to have been the ones to have it happen to us to be traumatized by it. Media is so powerful, and our subconscious minds do not know that wasn't something that we just witnessed. They don't know that those are actors. Our minds our conscious mind does, but our subconscious mind does not have a filter.
Nope.
It thinks we just witnessed that or murder or whatever. And if we keep putting that in, we keep messing with ourselves so bad. So be careful what you're putting in your eyes. Be careful what you put in your children's eyes. Be careful what you're saying is just so that you can handle this world. Okay. Do you feel better? Do you want to finish?
Yeah. So it was a rape scene, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, to my knowledge, I've never had that experience, but I feel that energy still. It feels like, I watched it. My subconscious was like, your dad's right here and he's not doing anything about this horrible thing that's happening in front of you, because it didn't know it was a movie. So it made me question my dad and, his protective abilities.
Right.
And, his judgment for taking a 12-year-old girl to go see this.
Mm-hmm.
And my sisters were younger. I'm the oldest.
Right.
I can't even imagine what is in their subconscious because of that.
Right.
It was horrifying.
Right.
And, to him, he was like, it didn't seem to bother him at all.
Right. So. And these are deep core. It's traumatic.
Yeah.
It's perceived trauma.
Right.
But it's real. It's real trauma. It's real. And I know here I'm coming back onto my YouTube channel after a little siesta, and we're talking about serious stuff, right? This is a big deal. I've had personally, and this might, almost everybody that I help with a slim down has a story that they tell me of something that has happened to them. And sometimes they tell me their stories in such detail that it is like, get that out of my head. Ooh. It's so horrible.
Right.
And it's always a man doing it to them. Okay. So here we come back to these beliefs that I've had about men and all of this reinforcement and all of the fears of being out there. And I think men are amazing. I think that men and women are equal. I don't believe in feminism and I don't believe in chauvinism. I think they're both crappy. And I mean, that's the way that I see feminism. I think women are amazing and they can do anything they want. I'm going to go do everything I want, right? And I think men are too, equally. And, I think that conflict in me and the worry about somebody thinking, because I have issues with men, somebody thinking that I'm a feminist or something like that. And I have been accused of being a feminist. Right. But this is by the definition of, I've actually talked to women that consider themselves feminists, and the way that they define it is like, oh, that's actually really quite beautiful. And it's like how I feel about it. Right. But then there are other people that are like really kind of, well, what I consider it, to each their own, right? But I have a way that I want to be. And that seems a little extreme to be like pouncing the men, we don't need to be doing that either. There's no elitism, right? There's none that's better than the other in my mind. And I like to be treated like, I like men to be a gentleman. I like to be treated like I'm a woman. I don't like to be treated like I'm a warrior. You know what I mean? I like to be treated like a girl, but I also like to be treated with respect and like I can do stuff. Right. And that's who I am. Don't tell me I can't do stuff. I can do stuff. I can do the technical stuff on this YouTube broadcast by myself, dang it. But this, it's eked into everything. It's eked into everything. And what I've discovered lately is just how much it has affected my relationships, and not just my close relationships, but I've been networking and I've been connecting, and I have, as I've been getting to know people, it's like, woo, this is like in the way. And it goes back to sexual stuff, because men only think about one thing, and really the most important thing that keeps coming to mind and that I'm conquering, and it's going into my book. This is like really profound, poignant stuff that I think is it's part of like probably the most pivotal thing I've ever come up against, and am shifting in my life using the exact tools that we use to shift to the little stuff and to overcome the emotional eating. And now it's like, get out there and do this and stop worrying and judging, And okay, so I'm really trying to get this to come out of my mouth. And I think the important thing to realize here is that this is real for me, and I'm still kind of in it. And I'm sharing and being vulnerable because I believe in being real.
Right.
So for those of you who are watching, that's really important to me. Vulnerability, if we're not willing to admit that we're real and that we have stuff, at the same time as finding a silver lining and being positive about it, I just think that's pretty fake. I mean, if we're not willing to share. And I think with the kind of topic that I have, it's important to just be out there and saying how it is. So I believe that we'll always be coming across something, right, Kelly?
Right.
Is there ever
never
yeah, there's never an end to the breakthroughs that we get to have.
Right. Because we will always be leveling up. We will never reach our highest level. We will always be climbing.
We'll always be climbing. And that's perspective on this. You could look at that and be like, I give up then.
Right. Oh, yeah. Don't look look at it as I am always better today than I was yesterday. Every day I get to say I am better than yesterday. So look at it that way.
Yes. And it's freedom. It's freedom. The higher we get on the mountain, the more we can see, and the better the air. And, this is just, it's such a happy thing. Let's just be happy.
Yeah. Don't look at it as drudgery. It's not drudgery.
Yes.
It's amazingness.
Happy to be
opportunity.
Broadening our horizons. Yeah. So back to, let's flick the vermin. Okay. Flick. Okay. So let's say you're identifying with me on this man thing. Number one, first of all, really important, if you are interested in contributing some of your crappy, yucky beliefs and things that you think would be better instead, I'm doing a questionnaire. This is something, or not questionnaire, a survey, on an anonymous survey, because I'm putting a section in my new book. I would like to come up with 100 new beliefs about how amazing men are. And I would like to promote a shift in the world about what equality really means, and stop demoralizing our men because we're afraid of, because of what they've done in the past. And there has been really crappy past, historical past. But we're not there anymore. So if you want to share, if you want to contribute, then leave a comment and just tell me you want to, and I will send you the link to that survey so you can contribute. So let's look at vermin. Let's do this, okay? Men only think about one thing. They only want one thing from women. That's the one I've heard the most. All they want is sex. Men want sex a lot. scientifically proven. They think about it like way more times a day than we think they should. Way more times a day than we want them to, because we don't want it that often normally, right?
Right.
So what if we look at it a different way?
Okay.
What if just because they think about it and want it, that doesn't mean we have to give it to them. First of all, that's like, there's not really any pressure on us. And since, okay, coming from a space of a people pleaser.
Oh, yeah.
Right, ladies?
Right.
Coming from a space of a people pleaser, it's okay if they choose to pout. Right? So that's probably a part of flicking this vermin.
Because we don't have responsibility to manage other people's feelings.
No, we don't. And we're not a toy.
And we are not toys.
We're not a toy, and we're not responsible. So, okay, understanding that, let's turn that to positive, personal, and present. Kelly, master of that. Their physiology, while you're thinking about that, I'm just gonna put this out there. Their physiology is such, it's a gift, it's a good thing, because, you know, procreation, important, right?
Very, very important.
So we can honor that. It's instinctive and it's not evil.
Right.
It's a normal for them.
Right.
And that's different from women, and that's okay. And
that
some women,
a divine design.
Yeah, and not everybody's libido is exactly the same either. We're talking general terms.
Right.
Okay, so let's make it positive, present, and personal. I think there are 4 P's. One has power. Powerful, positive, present, personal.
I do say that sometimes. I accidentally say powerful sometimes. And then I go, wait, I didn't say the other P. So then I end up with 4 P's. No, I'm totally with you on that. We could make it official, Bronwyn. There are 4 P's to affirmations. 4 P's to manifesting.
Perfect.
You know,
there are 5 P's. Because perfect for you.
I'm thinking about the people pleasing aspect and the you know, the whole growing up without a father and you know, not feeling the appropriate male female bonding and approval, and mix people pleasing into there. And you know, that's kind of a recipe for disaster for teenage girls. I know it was for me, and for many of my siblings and cousins and friends in school. You know, that was a really common thing when you're divorced, when you're in a divorced family. And so I think, you know, a lot of us feel guilty for our misplaced desire for approval ending up down that road.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we also need to add some self-forgiveness into that whole equation. Because a lot of times when you have that self-condemnation, you tend to point it outwards to relieve yourself and say, oh, well, it's because guys only want one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that as we forgive ourselves and stop looking to blame the other party in the situation, that also helps.
Yeah.
So maybe add some forgiveness into the mix. So seeing it as a, you know, a natural gift from God, and forgiving yourself for your past.
Well, yeah. As a woman in the past, using that to try to get their approval of me.
Exactly.
Right? Like like so long until I woke up, and it didn't work. It never worked. Before or after I got married, it did not work.
Nope.
It didn't work. And, it was always just a pleasure of the flesh for them.
Right.
It was not the connection that I needed it to be.
Right.
It never worked. So yeah, forgiving myself for trying to make it that, because in the movies they make it look like that, and in the books they make it look like that, and I was so misdirected. So yes, I forgive me for being misdirected.
I forgive me too. So an affirmation for that. What was the original one? What was the vermin were flicking? Oh, that men only
want one thing. Okay. And then the people pleasing part, because if they only want one thing and we want to love them, then we have to do the thing that they want because we want them to love us back, and it's this whole yucky cycle.
Right. So we have to do things we don't necessarily want to when we don't want to do them, in order to give them the one thing and make everyone happy except for ourselves. And yeah, that's a downward spiral. So we could say something like, men are sons of God. Men are divinely designed to drive the repopulation of the planet. And but we want to make it personal.
Right.
I'm finding this one challenging. This is good. This is a good
challenge.
I like it. I love a challenge. Yes. So you would say then I
respect.
Yeah, that's good. I see the value in all men. I respect their, what's that word? There's a word I'm trying to think of. It's kind of like their God-given role, but there's a really good word for it that I can just almost think of. I respect their something. It'll probably come to me if I stop trying to think of it. Mm-hmm. Also, I think I've been talking a lot lately about personal energy boundaries. Mm-hmm. Since my presentation last week, and
that definitely applies to this.
It totally does, because so many people wanted to talk to me and interact with me and receive some of my love, which I was extremely excited to give. But at the end of the day, of day one, there was nothing left in me. Mm-hmm. I completely overdid it. And it was my first time ever doing an event like that. So I didn't realize I was over giving. Mm-hmm. And so, I gave everything that day and was left with nothing that night. And I was so sick. I had a fever. I shook all night long. I got hardly any sleep at all. And so day two, I maintained my boundaries really well. I even took an hour lunch break away from the building. I went across the street by myself at a table alone and ate lunch. And my day two went way better. So I'm thinking that's involved too. Something like, I understand and maintain my personal boundaries so that I am a better what? So I contribute more effectively to those in my relationships.
I think this is really important because, you know, in our society, in our culture, we learn to kind of put off a certain vibe. Directive.
That's the word. Sorry. The word I was trying to think of a minute ago.
Go ahead and put it all together.
Okay. So, I respect men and their divine directive. And I also maintain my personal boundaries for the healthiest relationships with myself and men.
Okay, and I want to add in there because some men use their powers for ill, that we want to only attract to us people who treat us like a queen. Like they are a knight in shining armor, and they respect and love us so much that they rein it in.
And you know what else? A man that does that also respects and loves himself.
Right.
So it's definitely mutual within himself and to women. Mm-hmm. So so when we feel about ourselves that way, he will feel himself about that way, then those are the ones we attract because we will be on the same level.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, this makes me think of, you know, after I got married, I was the girl that had a date every night for like 2 years, right? I made sure I had a date, and I like really liked to kiss the boys. And so, I mean, it was a not happy time of my life because and I didn't realize it, but I was seeking that approval.
Yeah.
And once you turn that off, it's like when I was a little girl, I used to suck my thumb. But when I stopped doing that, I started biting my fingernails. And when I stopped doing that, I started doing something else to replace it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you got to like actually target that thing in the core. That's really the problem. And I realized that on a very deep level, that is exactly what this conversation is about.
Yes.
You know, it's not a surface level conversation.
It is not.
It's a really deep conversation that is a real problem. I had somebody really random come and sit by me one time. I didn't know her at all. And she started talking about her fear of being slim because she was so afraid that she would get raped again. Oh. That her body, she hated her body for being voluptuous and beautiful and just being what it, you know, naturally is. Because she thought it was screaming, and she would say this, it was screaming, come get me.
Wow.
And this is what she was thinking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're watching this, remember the personal positive statement and just tweak it for your good. Right. The whole idea is to teach your mind what you want it to be thinking about instead, and taking control over the thoughts and the images that go on in your head. And that's why at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about media. Because if you're choosing to put an actual image into your eyes that's going into your mind, then you're choosing to give yourself hardship.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if it's not a good image. If you're choosing to put a good image into your mind, then you're choosing to serve yourself and help yourself. But our imaginations are the thing. If we're going to say, I used to do this thing. Oh, my gosh. I used to do this thing where I would sit and imagine myself connecting with people through arguing.
Wow.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
I know. Can you see it?
I can totally see it. Especially yesterday. Oh my gosh.
Yep. I just caught this one. Actually, it's something that I've seen, but I didn't realize how very deep it went. I'm embarrassed to admit that that's still like a thing. There's a lot of things that are going into my book right now, but
Yes.
I mean, awareness is everything, right? We can't squash it and do cartwheels away from it because otherwise we're not dealing with it.
No.
So, yeah, and I've done my crying and I'm ready to do some action taking on it.
Yay.
You know? So yeah, sorry to everyone who may be watching this video who I have connected with through arguing in the past. Because I held a belief that marriage, that relationships between men and women had to be, sassy and uncomfortable at first. And then, it wasn't even, it goes to all the relationships. What am I saying? It goes to everything. Somebody back then showed me an example, and look at the movies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's all in your face. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna do this, and then I'll let you get to know me, and then I'll chill out, and then I'll do this sometimes, and you'll know that I'm this.
Exactly.
And you better be careful when you're so take that element out. I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, and that, a while back, there's no way I would have let myself look at that.
Yeah.
It would have been too uncomfortable, too embarrassing, and too much of a challenge to my core beliefs about life and about what strong means.
Right.
That's not what strong looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had one of my mentors tell me that I was like, I've got this going on, and he's like, well, that's very nice that you're letting your 3-year-old control you right now. I was like, oh, thank you for talking to me straight, punk.
Wow.
But it takes great talk.
Not let the 3-year-old have the control room.
No.
As much as we may like.
Exactly. All right, so hopefully that helped flick that vermin.
Yeah.
And to wrap up, I just want to make sure everybody is aware that we have an event coming up in September on the 27th through the 29th, where we are going to flick many vermin. We're also going to learn about some skills that will help us in our business that we're probably not doing because of the vermin.
Exactly.
I've got amazing people. Jonah Sotsuji, he's a networker. This is his story. It's in a nutshell. He's a chef, and he's got, like, Hawaii is where he's got a lot of his restaurants, or one restaurant at least. He's got this farm, Otsuji Farms. It's really cool. And we lost you, and you're back.
I'm back.
Okay. And anyway, he's brilliant. He networked himself up onto the CBS reality show Survivor because he knew that it would help him with his business. Yes. And it's a completely different way of thinking. I never would have thought to do something like that in order to build my awareness of my business and my message. I mean, Survivor has nothing to do with being a chef and having a restaurant.
Oh, right.
But he did it, and then he got onto another reality show for the same reason, because he wanted to be able to serve more people at his restaurant, and it worked. And he's coming to speak to us at our event to tell us how to do that for our message, to help us network. It's high profile networking, get out there. And I've got another mentor. His name is Chris Cronin. He teaches power of proximity. This is so important to him. And he's been really pushing this idea lately, because as soon as he got into proximity with the right people, it just took off for him in ways that he didn't even imagine could be, and maybe he did. He's quite the manifester, but
that's true.
He's
the one that taught me manifesting.
He's the one that taught me manifesting. But anyway, the power in being around the right people is really important. So come to that event and be around the right people.
Yes.
So that you can get the results that you want. And you betcha we're going to flick a whole lot of vermin, and we are going to talk about Slim Down there. This is a Real and Slim event, but it's also a Tenacious CEO event, because I want to help people get out of the way, get out of their own way, get this junk out of the way so that we can get out there and be seen at the level that we need to be seen, so that we can have the impact that we really know we need to have with our message. There's enough people hiding, and there are plenty of people in this world to serve, and we are all needed. So we better get out there and get seen.
Absolutely.
Okay, go to realandslim.com to sign up for that. There will be a link in the description on this video, so make sure you go and get your ticket. Okay, I love you all. We'll see you next time. Tomorrow's the 4th of July, so we will not be doing this tomorrow because it's a vacation day, but we'll see you after that. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming, Kelly.
You're welcome.
See you later.
Bye.